Are we on? Is this working?
Check. Syphilis.
Check, baby. Check, baby. 1, 2, 3. That was good. That was good. Okay, so.
Ready. What do you got for me
It's a miracle that I could even walk. Let's talk about how much I ate at the Canfield Fair.
Okay.
Which someone brought to my attention. The name of the fair. You have the Trumbull County Fair, the Columbiana County Fair. You have all the counties have a fair. This is realistically the Mahoning County Fair, but for some reason it's called
The Canfield
Fair. Do we know why? I mean, are there rights
Let's
to
do
it?
hypothesis, because I've got a theory. And it's probably easily, researchable, if that's a word.
It's kind of like, hold on, don't tell me. Researchable. What was the other word you made up
every day.
God bless America. I have to go back and watch that. That was a good word.
Yeah.
Untoppable.
This one isn't as good.
Okay. All right.
All right. So what I'm thinking is just like Idora Park. Okay. Idora Park became an amusement park, but first it was just a place where the trolley system dumped people off, and then
I didn't know
became
that.
some concession stands,
Okay.
and then it became maybe some entertainment, and eventually it became the amusement park because that's where the people were. Well, I look at Canfield, very rural, lots of farms.
Okay.
Right? So I started out on a big plot of land of, Zedeker's farm down the road.
Right.
That let's get together and we'll sell some corn to each other.
Okay.
And then one guy was like, hey, I can sell some tractor parts. I fabricate some tractor parts. And then they just keep adding to it. And so it was probably like the Canfield swap meet that became the Canfield, whatever, that eventually became what it is today.
That makes sense. So it's not like they stole the name Canfield Fair from Mahoning County. It became it.
Yeah.
Based on something else. Okay. Did you go, first of all?
I did.
How many days?
Just one.
You're one and done.
Like a couple hours.
Okay. Well, I went 3 days.
Okay.
A couple hours. Here was my food consumption.
Okay.
This is over a 3-day period, folks. 3 days. I had 6 cheese on a sticks.
Okay. 6 cheese on a sticks.
I wish I knew the guy's name. I know the stand is a black and white sign. It says cheese and steak stick. And it's the best Swiss cheese I ever had, and it's a light batter. So when they do the cheese on a stick, for those of you who don't know, it's literally a block of cheese dipped in a batter, pulled out, like a corn dog. But this batter is not corn dog batter, if that makes sense. So it's not like a real thick breading kind of thing. It's light, it's wonderful. So I had 6 of those. I had 1 big cavatelli and meatball. I had a hoagie steak sandwich, and then I had a half a hoagie steak sandwich. I was with my buddy, and we split one. I had a French fry. I had an elephant ear. I had 4 Strauss's malts. When's the last time you had a Strauss's malt?
Never.
Unbelievable.
Never.
Never?
Never.
Boy, there's a place called Levante's that's kind of on 224 and Glenwood, and they have a machine, and they make them, I want to say still, I need to get you one because they're very light, airy, fluffy. It's kind of like a malt. It's kind of like a Frosty from Wendy's, but way better, way creamier, way lighter. So I had 4 of those, and I had 1 ear on a corn. Ear on a corn? No, 1 ear of corn.
Ear of corn.
On a stick. That was it, corn on a stick.
There you go.
So that was my menu.
All right.
It's pretty not too bad, right?
Not bad. It makes me sick that having the bulk of cheese that you did.
Well, the one day I had 3 in one day.
Yeah,
so the
that's a lot.
first day I had 1, then they had 2. I'm like, F it, I want 3. I know, it's ridiculous. But
So
it was over
and
numerous hours.
I'll phrase this so that it's not gross. How was the bathroom
Fine.
experience? in the
I thought
following
for
days?
sure I wouldn't go to the bathroom for a week.
Okay.
Unbelievable. So, yeah.
You were good.
Right. I was good. And I didn't feel bloated. I didn't feel like fat. Like I didn't feel Thanksgiving dinner day stuffed. You know how you feel like that? So I love the fair. I walked around. I told you I want to be a carny for a week or 2. Just want to try it. I want to know what happens when the lights go down.
It's wild, I
think it's got to be nuts. I think
yeah.
the tilt-a-wheel guy's coming over here to the Ferris wheel person. And
Oh, yeah.
whoop, whoop, whoop.
More carnies get made in
Yeah,
that day.
I love that. So the fair was nice. The weather was good. It was hot, but then it was cool the last couple days. The musical groups, Daughtry, Buckcherry, Dirk Bentley.
I'm not familiar
He's
with the
a country guy.
band.
I think he was out there. I think that's what it was. Anyway, it was a good time at the fair. So did you go with a big group?
No, just my wife and my son went out there, and I gave myself sort of like a pass to buy one thing that I normally wouldn't eat.
I know what it was.
But I'm gonna just, you're gonna be sad. I didn't end up using that pass. I got an iced coffee, and that was the extent of it. I ate no
No
food.
Hungarian pepper? I thought
No.
for sure. I
couldn't-
passed the
didn't-
stand. I saw it.
I couldn't find it, and so
Oh.
I just didn't have anything.
I saw it. I thought of you. I should have took a picture and sent it to you. I almost got one. I didn't.
And the second thing is that I had to, like, I'm an introvert, and I really don't like having conversations in public, and I try not to make eye contact
Right,
with
you're-
anybody. So my challenge,
like this.
yes, yeah. So my challenge was talk to 10 people, and I got to 6. So it was the almost Canfield Fair for me.
All right. I like talking. I mean, it's kind of like hey, but you can't have long conversations, right? I mean, you see so many people in the fair. It's got to be, hey, how you doing? Okay, good. Boom. Next, going to find something to eat. All right. Well, my fair experience was wonderful. I loved it. I cannot wait for the cheese on a stick to come back. Okay, the weather's changing. Let's
Yes.
talk about that.
It was great. I camped this weekend.
Okay.
It felt like fall.
Felt like fall.
It did.
Brisk in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite.
Do you do when you guys camp? Do you do the breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the griddle, on the grill, on the fire, or is it you go to a place?
I don't think we ever stop serving food during these
Just
things.
kind of an
I
all-day
think it's
thing?
a constant thing. There's always food to munch on and eat.
Hobo pies.
Oh yeah, did hobo pie?
You got the sandwich, like the hobo
Oh,
pie.
yeah.
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 I remember as a kid, my dad would do those in the fireplace in our house. The hobo pies, and you cut the bread off, and then He also.
I didn't have any, but they looked good.
Oh my gosh!
I
Why?
know. I'm just a spoiler.
Yeah, your diet is weird. You had,
But I don't even want that stuff. That's the difference.
All right,
Like
well, then
you,
that's-
when you
listen,
want
right.
the cheese thing, you're
Right.
not like I'm going to eat it just for the sake of
no.
it.
I truly
So I
desire
do
it.
eat things that I want to
Okay.
eat. I do drink my bourbon.
Okay.
I got my vices.
You got your vices.
Yeah.
All right. So, of the 4 seasons, which is your favorite? I'm curious. Joe Danier, favorite season. I always make the joke real quick, though. In Ohio, we have 4 seasons. We have almost winter, winter, second winter, almost winter again.
Yes.
Those are our seasons.
I'm going with fall.
Fall, me
You,
too.
you
What
get a
is it about
sampling
it?
of summer
Okay.
in the beginning, and you get a sampling of winter by the end, and neither are very extreme.
Okay. Is there one specific thing other than the actual weather that you enjoy with regards to fall? Like for me, it's the smells. I love when I smell leaves burning, it just takes me back to my childhood. Because back in the day, I was born in the 70s, you could burn leaves. I mean, it was just like a thing. Everyone in the neighborhood burned piles of leaves, and then the city stepped in and said, we can't burn leaves anymore. But when I smell burning leaves, it reminds me of fall. I love the smells. I love the brisk air. I love Halloween. So Halloween is my ultimate. We'll talk about that later
In a
on
couple
because,
weeks,
right?
of
Because it's
course.
only September. But I love Halloween. I'll tell you about my old Halloween parties that we used to have. But anything other than just the temperature?
I
With
like
regards to
being,
fall?
I like hiking and being in the woods, and it's most comfortable to be in the woods at this time of
Okay.
year. In the summer, too many bugs, gets it's super hot, and when you're exerting yourself, that's a rough deal. But in the fall, when it's a little crisp, not as many bugs, that's preferable.
I love it.
Did I ever tell you my leaf burning story?
No.
Oh.
Oh boy. Leaf Erickson? You burn Leaf Erickson? Oh my gosh.
Poor guy. Poor Leaf. So I was a little bit of a fire guy. Like I used to love
Little
lighting
pyro
stuff
in
up.
you.
Little pyro.
Okay, I can
in
see
me.
you.
I light things on fire. And we had a group of kids, and I probably shared this before, that really mean kids who
In the
they like-
neighborhood?
The older kids like to set the little kids up for
Oh,
doing
right,
bad
right,
stuff,
right. You told me about the video game, Pitfall.
Yes,
They
Pitfall.
lied to you about the thing. And,
Yes.
Okay.
So it was this one old lady who lived in the neighborhood, and she loved cleaning her yard up, and she would make the best burn piles. Okay, very controlled. Like she would
Okay.
just do her leaves from her yard, but it was looking nice. Like it was looking like a good pile. And the one of the older kids said, "Hey, Joe, I got some matches here. Why don't we learn that? Why don't you light that burn pile up?" And I was like, "Yes, let's do that." And so we had in my backyard, we had a baseball field, and all along the edges of the baseball field was a tree line. So it
Okay.
was like maybe 3 or 4 trees deep. It was real thin. That was a home run line anyhow. But her burn pile was right in the tree line.
Oh boy.
All right. So
Oh,
what I
boy.
did was I lit the burn pile. And I think what she would do is she would make like little parts of the burn pile, make it a nice small controlled burn. But I did a great big gargantuan one. And what I did was I lit the entire tree line on fire.
Oh,
you had these huge maple trees. I mean, bigger than you can get your arms around. And they all burnt to the level that they fell into the baseball field. There were 10 trees that fell
Are you
after that. The whole thing was on fire.
serious?
the fire department got called down, and they're bringing buckets down because it's in the middle of a baseball field. They
Right.
couldn't get the trucks down in there.
So the initial pile went up and
Lit the entire.
please tell me you were watching from the side.
I
Like,
was
were you in the
so
woods,
much
like,
trouble,
scared shitless? Like,
so much trouble.
they knew it was you.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Kids were pointing.
Yeah, because when it got out of
Joe did it.
control, then the parents came in, and I think I was like in a holding cell or something during that whole time.
Right.
But it was bad.
Oh, man. Did
I
you
also
have-
lit the woods on fire too. At a different time, I was probably, I don't know, 10 years old, and the older kids were smoking cigarettes, and I only had one match, and I wanted to smoke the whole pack or something like
Right.
that. So I lit a little fire in the woods so that I could keep smoking my cigarettes, and it just spread, and in every direction there were the leaves in all of the woods were on fire. So I was a bad kid. I don't know if I told you that.
No, I love that, though. Smokey the Bear would have a field day with you. Forest fires.
And I lied. That was one of the
You
first
can prevent
real
forest
big
fires.
lies that I told.
Yeah.
That I ran home. And I was scared now because I lit the whole. This is after.
This is not the baseball field. This is the other one?
This is the whole woods.
the whole
like,
woods.
the
Jeez,
whole-
old Pete's.
And I went home and I was like, Dad, I saw these older kids and they were smoking and they lit the woods on fire. And so he called the fire department, and he didn't buy my freaking story, but I got away with that one.
Did you enjoy the cigarettes at least?
Oh, they were good.
Right.
Playboys and cigarettes. That's what you did in the woods.
Boy. Lynn Park. I used to have Playboys hidden underneath the rocks and in certain spots. I think we maybe talked about this. And if it rained outside, my heart dropped because I thought, it's going to get wet. It's going to get wet. But we would literally go down there, smoke cigarettes, look at the Playboys, play game. Oh,
What's
God.
the statute of limitations for getting in trouble for smoking and looking at Playboy? Can I? Is my mom?
You're
gonna
okay
be
now.
mad?
You're good. You're past it. You're good. You got a free pass. Wow. All right. Well, I did not know the leaf story. That's great. So, do you rake, blow your leaves? Do you have someone do your yard?
Yeah, lawn people take care
Okay.
of that.
See, I do my own still, which I don't mind. I have someone treat my yard, but I bought a backpack blower, a couple years ago.
Ghostbuster thing?
It's I think part of my OCD mentality. I love it. But then here's what F's me up. I'll have a yard perfect. My lines are, and then a couple leaves will fall, and I want to pick up like the 4 leaves that are there because there was 0 a moment ago, and then so it's a hard time for someone like me.
Here's in that same vein. If somebody drives on your driveway before you've had a chance to snow blow or shovel
packs it down.
Oh, freaking
the worst.
pisses me off.
The worst. I know.
Makes it so much harder.
And sometimes it's me. Sometimes if I'm out or something, like if I'm on a trip and I come home from the airport and I got to pull in.
You know you're hating it every
Right.
crunch.
I could pull in my neighbor's yard, but I don't. I just. Oh, wow. All right. So fall is my favorite. Fall is your favorite.
Yes.
I love it. It's here. The leaves will change. Some camping. It's got to be great in the fall.
It's the best. It is the best.
Speaking of camping and campers, we didn't talk about this last time, but I always wanted to take my kids on a trip. Just 2 weeks, cross country in an RV. And I did not know. Someone told me, and then you confirmed it. You can Airbnb an RV.
You can.
Airbnb an RV. Yeah, which I think is a pretty cool concept. Instead of going to a company and having to rent one, you could just go to someone's house and the dude says, okay, here's how you do it, and figure it out.
Yeah, when you own a motorhome, it sits in your driveway most of the time. If you can rent it out and tolerate other people being in
Right.
your bed, and I don't
That is,
I don't like
you
this
could
talk.
never do that.
Theoretically possible, in practical use, no, thank you.
Would money change that? Like if someone gave you an absorbent amount of money?
No,
like,
not
you
a
still don't care.
chance.
All right. See,
No.
I like that. That's your principles. That's your
That's
character.
it. There's no way.
All right, you posted something the other day, made me laugh hysterically, and then it made me think, what the hell's wrong with women? I love women. Don't get me
We
wrong.
need some context. Hurry.
Yeah, right. Let me back that up. It was what women were attracted to with regards to different things.
Yeah.
And like, it was least attracted to, most attracted to. Hold on, I want to read exactly what it said.
And on that list, did
Least
you,
attractive hobbies for men,
Yeah.
according to women. So, women said this is the least attractive thing. I could not believe that video games, if I'm reading that right, was the number one least attractive thing.
Yep.
It was less attractive than bird watching. Now, how the hell can that be? Again, nothing wrong with watching birds, but bird watching was less than How can that be? I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, video games are a pain in the ass if you're married to someone and you don't like it. I never play them, but as far as attractiveness, magic. So so magic tricks. You thought you were killing it. Okay,
I was so good at magic. I put so much time and
I think
effort
magic's a great way to, if you're out in a group of people, to meet people, start coming over and talk.
For awkward people, those are icebreakers, baby. If I could pull a quarter out of your ear.
Do shit like that? Like when you were in public with friends and stuff?
With that, yeah.
And people would walk over, right? They would
confident.
gravitate. And I bet you the girls gravitated over and thought, oh, look at Joe. He's so cute.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make your shirt disappear. Poof!
I didn't know that trick, but that was a good one.
So what was your go-to? Magic
Card
trick?
tricks were my thing.
Sleight of hand kind of thing? Or just like
I can't get my secret. Listen,
Okay.
You'll get pummeled by the magic community.
Right.
I don't want to be ostracized from the people I care deeply about.
All right, I don't want David Copperfield knocking on my door. Magic, I always thought was cool. I never could pull it off because my mind, I couldn't wrap it around. I could do a few card tricks, but like the real quarter thing, like my one buddy, Todd Burry's very good with magic. And my other buddy, Timmy Dunn's very good. And they'll do a thing where they put a napkin down and 4 quarters on one side. And then just, I think it's amazing. And every time we're out and they do that, people are like, whoa. So I could not believe that magic was not lower on the attractive scale.
Well, people are fairly predictable.
Collecting figurines?
Figurines? Action figures, my Star Wars collection.
Yeah, but video games was above that. Like, if I'm reading this right, the least thing that was the least attractive is video games.
Well,
right? Is that right?
Let's go through it.
Online troll taxidermy's on here.
Taxidermy.
Women find a man who does taxidermy more sexy than a guy who plays video games.
Look at it through a woman's perspective now.
Okay.
So if you've got
I have
a
a great
guy,
joke. I won't say it though.
If you got a guy that sits around and plays video games, that probably annoys women more than anything else. It's not the act of video games, but a person that they're unavailable, emotionally disconnected. I'm annoyed with you right now.
Okay.
It probably makes the blood pressure.
Yeah,
go
they
up.
just yeah.
Where a bird watcher, like they're not doing it every day. They're not doing it compulsively. It might even be a little bit cute.
All right,
little dorky and safe.
Right. So the attractiveness threw me off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it should be like what makes women the most annoyed.
That would be better.
You know what I mean? I was like attractiveness. I mean,
and taxidermy is a weird one because.
But I think that's like hardcore. You're a man. You're like taxidermy. You're stuffing the animal.
But looking at it from a woman's perspective, like attracted to a dead object is a kind of creepy and weird. Do we want somebody who's gonna perform ritualistic, that kind of thing? Like little red flags more than even attractiveness. Right. So.
Magic tricks. You were disappointed. You go, man. I was certain girls like that. Was collecting figurines. I don't understand. Online trolling, gambling, building model trains, taxidermy, comic book collecting, and bird watching. All right.
So anyway, people are fairly predictable. So when you're doing magic,
let's get back to that.
Like if you can make people pay attention to you and change your voice so that they're hanging on your words and moving and having animations with your hands so they're watching what you want them to watch, what's going on. If you're too bland and boring and like a giraffe kind of thing, you're just fixed, then you're not good at magic.
You have to have some personality. Well, see, here's the thing. You're an introvert, so you actually had that with regards to the magic. So when you did the magic, your personality came out more.
For sure.
Wow, that's good. That's neat to know.
And on the other side, nobody's ever been sad after a magic trick. It always makes people happy.
Makes them smile.
It does.
Makes them wonder
like,
how the hell did you do it.
Even if they're tricked, even if they know it's not true, even if there was something going on, they're always happy about it.
So David Blaine, I like magic. I really do like magic. But his stunts, to me, weren't magic. They were just like things. Like, I'm going to be in an ice block for 7 weeks. That's not magic, right? It's more of just a stunt. Do you prefer stunts or magic?
Magic, for sure. There's so much more practice and stuff that goes into a magic trick than a stunt.
And like even Houdini, I mean, he was the legend, but he was more of a stunt guy. Like, in chains in a box.
Yeah, if you hybridize the two, like if you're in the block of ice and then people are watching you and turn into a goat, like that would be awesome.
Bring magic into it.
Yeah. At least
commingle.
At least he was escaping from straitjackets or something that was like, whoa, he pulled off a stunt and he almost died and he escaped from something that's hard to escape from, that kind of thing.
Did you have a favorite magician? Was it Gargamel from Smurfs? I mean, he was a magician. Remember Gargamel?
I remember Gargamel.
Okay.
He's a dick, though. I hated
he was. And Azrael the cat?
Yeah.
Little stupid Azrael.
Look, we're getting all nostalgic here today. But David Copperfield, he was on TV all the time. He was solid.
So that always amazed me with regards to illusionists because he made the Statue of Liberty disappear, something like that. But that was obviously not happening. But
why you got to be a doubter? Were you there?
You're right. I was going to ask you, how do you think he did that? But you won't reveal.
I won't. I can make
somehow he made our minds think it was gone. Mirrors, something.
He got you.
He got me.
Got you.
He did make that shit.
Most likely is that the camera was on a pivot, and they were able to slowly pivot the camera so that the skyline that you saw didn't have the Statue of Liberty, and then pivoted back. And then just set everything up so that it was hard to tell. But the studio audience would have known, so it's like the people that were there were all liars. Those are the people that really should.
Because it really didn't disappear, and like an airplane disappeared, and so on and so forth.
But I guess Penn and Teller.
Those guys are cool.
Because they did magic. So like in your face.
They have a show right now. Do you know it?
I don't.
Oh yeah, Penn and Teller have a TV show right now. I mean, I see it all the time. I don't know if it's being simulcast or what's it called? In syndication. Oh, I forget what it's called, but they sit in the audience. So magicians come out. I have to know this. Hold on. Fill the air, Joe. Penn and Teller's magic show.
I got to meet one of the guys, whoever the tall one is.
You did really?
Penn
Teller. I don't know. He's the talkative one.
Yeah.
He's the talkative one. Oh, it's called Fool Us.
Okay.
So the concept is, they're cool. And I like the little one. The little one reminds me of Art Garfunkel. You know Simon and Garfunkel? Remember Simon and Garfunkel? There was Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. He reminds me of Garfunkel. Anyway, it's called Fool Us. So Penn and Teller are here in chairs, and a magician comes out, does their trick, and then they decide whether or not they know it and how they did it. And they won't reveal it. They'll say, that was good, but we got it, and the guy walks away. Or they'll say, you fooled us, and then the guy gets a trophy.
Oh,
like
nice.
If they actually do a trick that Penn and Teller can't figure
That's
out
awesome.
how it was done. So it's it's a neat concept.
But that dynamic, like the Smothers Brothers, in comedy is what Penn and Teller is for magic, where you have those two personality types.
Yeah. Did you meet them you met him at a show?
So I used to do a reptile expo in Las Vegas. Okay, so I would...
Reptile Expo.
Yeah.
Used to go to it as a
I used to put it on.
Used to put it on.
Yeah.
Okay.
For 8 years, I put on a reptile expo.
People brought the reptiles in, or they just learned about reptiles?
There were vendors from all over the world would come in and
like
sell
Komodo dragon
exotics
kind of
and
things?
sell supplies and all that kind of stuff. And the day before the show came in, we'd have all our VIP guests. We would get people that were in Vegas but didn't really want to contend with the crowds that were there. So we had like Nicolas Cage was building a terrarium, so he sent his people down there to buy all the supplies before they opened to the public. So I got to meet wrestlers and
that's cool.
performance people on that day. Penn was one of them. I'm assuming that's the tall guy. But dude was so cool. Like,
cool, right?
So cool. And some of the people that you admire, you meet him in person, and they really don't hit
We had a discussion about that, right?
He was not one of them. He was the same dude
down
that
to
you see on
earth,
stage.
fun,
Absolutely.
nice.
Cracking jokes, and just a really cool guy.
That's a good feeling when you meet someone who's not your hero per se, but just someone you admire, and they turn out to be just what you thought.
Exactly.
Oh, my first time I met you, I go, oh, this guy, he's so nice. And then I'm like, oh, he's a jerk. I'm like, what a jerk. All right, so we talked about the Canfield Fair. We talked about the weather. Anything else?
I was going to ask you something, but I got in that whole tripe about Penn and Teller and magic.
Magic's interesting. What about dark magic? Ooh.
Like
witch it? No,
you
that
believe
shit
in it?
scares me. I don't know. Like, define dark magic. Witchy stuff? Like spells and stuff like that?
Yeah, so they put the, like,
I don't know if
Thinner.
someone
Remember
has
the movie Thinner? They did the thing, and he's
I never saw
away.
it, but I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I
so
heard
they put
of it.
hexes on you and do voodoo dolls.
Right.
And
Yeah, how about voodoo dolls? What? That concept, people believe in that. That's kind of like a New Orleans thing, like down in the bayou. You believe in voodoo dolls?
Hell no.
I mean, how could it be? I mean, that's like, I'm going to make this thing, I'm going to poke it. It's a psychological
Well, yeah,
thing.
once you
I think
get it in your
anything
head that
happens
someone's
to you,
have it
you
out
think,
for...
Right. If you bump your leg, like, shit.
That was the voodoo doll.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
It is more of a psychological thing. How about, let me ask you this. Psychics and palm readers. We've never talked about them. I've never been to one. Do you think, I know there's lines in your hand, stuff like, okay, so do you think it's legit, or do you think they're just kind of going off the cuff as to someone recently passed? Well, someone always is passing in your life, right? Or do you think it is they really are in tune with what you're going through or experiencing or what you're going to experience?
I put them in the same category as the people who talk to ghosts and whatever.
Okay.
I think a very, very small percentage of people are connected with different universes and they have sensitivities to being able to feel energies and they interpret it. And I think most of them are bullshit.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a small percent. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because the way our minds are and the way our bodies are and the shit that's... Why couldn't that be?
Right.
But to the extreme of this many of them... Okay.
Yeah, and you know, I study a lot of things that regular people don't study, and when you come across some things that you know now that somebody else doesn't, you can very easily, you know, make that into a parlor trick where you tell somebody something that you picked up on because of uncommon knowledge, right? And now all of a sudden you're some kind of mystic, and I see a lot of that, you know, could happen.
Okay.
So
because it always boggles my mind that even in town, I'll drive by, you know, a couple places and there's like psychic palm reading still around, like where people actually have a place where people do the tarot cards and like I never understood the tarot cards. It's just, you know, you start flipping them, you shuffle them, the death comes up, the life. I don't know. Have you ever done it?
I've
Have you
never
ever
done
had
it.
it?
No,
Okay.
I've known people who actually do it on
I know
a regular
people who
basis.
do right.
And when you talk to them, they have a belief in it because human beings love to believe
You
in
wanna believe it.
superstitions and they get something out of it, obviously, so they keep doing it. But it's almost like sales training. Like if you want to manipulate someone's thoughts into a certain way and they don't have defenses against it, even like hypnotism, same freaking thing. And so like I can walk somebody through connections by overgeneralizing, or like you said, we're saying something that applies to 99% of the people, and they're like, all right, they're digging it, they know something about me. But you have those people who throw something out that they never could have known,
Specific.
and you're like, that came from somewhere else.
Okay, so all right, well, then we're on the same page with that.
for sure.
I believe there are some people who truly have that gift, and the
Do
majority
you have any
them,
of those gifts?
No. You know what? I think I have an intuition with numbers. For some reason, this is weird, Joe. I could be traveling to New York, driving, right? It's like, 487 miles. And I'll look at my speedometer, or I'll look at my odometer, and it'll say, I have it set with my GPS, how many miles are left. So I can drive like 112 miles, and I'll look down and go, I bet you it's 318 miles left. And I'll look down, and it will say 318. And that has happened numerous times on numerous things with numerous numbers. That's why I like roulette. I'm pretty decent at it. Even though it's a numbers game, it's a wheel, and who knows what numbers can pop up. But I have the numbers I always play, but sometimes I truly feel I could sense a number. That is the only level of intuition, I guess, if we'll call it, that I feel I have.
That's a developed skill. You see the movie Rain Man?
Yeah.
The toothpicks fall on the ground.
Right, and he counts them immediately, right.
And so, like, when you listen to that, like, how does an autistic brain do stuff like that? Okay, how does it...
Right.
Because I believe that autism is sort of like a progression of the brain's acute abilities in certain departments, and energies can go into certain
levels that we don't even go to.
Absolutely.
Okay, I dig that.
It's almost like an adaptation up. So if the brain is chemically able to do mathematics on the fly, Nash was one of those people. There's some, Tesla was one of those people who used their imagination instead of concocting outwardly things. They use their imagination to do these hardcore calculations they do it fast, where you could do the toothpick thing, but you need more linear time, right?
Yes.
If you can compress that and be able to do the same things because you don't have distractions on the outside world, right? Then you hone that ability to make math your superior senses.
I like it. Do you have an intuition?
Oh, yeah. All the time. When you
that,
develop it like that,
sixth sense?
you absolutely can.
Like numbers, too. I'm telling you, it's just numbers. I could look at a clock. I could say, it's 10:47, and I'll look up, it's 10:47. It's very weird.
So let's teach people how to do that stuff, because this is very...
Can I teach it?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as I tell you how it happens, you can absolutely teach it, because you do it, even if you unwillingly know.
I don't. I unconsciously don't realize. Okay, how?
All right, so how do people learn how to play chess?
By watching, by being told, and by playing.
Well, when people teach you how to play chess, they tell you what the things do, right?
Okay.
But good chess
okay.
players have seen so many chess games progress.
Okay. So they're
And
moves ahead of you? Okay.
so they've seen it so many times that they can say where they're at in a game, where you and I, when we just know like knights and rooks and
Right.
whatever, we're just making moves and we don't necessarily know how they're connected with other things. It's a blind spot in the chess game that the repetition of that when you try to get good at chess
Yeah.
is the only way to be good at
Good
chess,
at chess.
through those practices. So like when you're driving, okay, and you're looking at your speed and you're looking at the clock and your brain starts calculating the miles per minute and it's not an even number. So you've got to then, slow down or speed up in the beginning where you could go 60 miles an hour because it matches up with 60 minutes in an hour, right? And then maybe you go 50 miles an hour, but then you get used to calculating 50 miles an hour with a 60-minute interval.
Okay.
All right. And then you keep shifting what your brain's capable of calculating on its own. But you can't do that unless you start doing the easy one, the 60 minutes one.
For 60 miles.
you
Right.
keep doing that
And then you
calculation
can go
over-
up or down. You can go, if I go 70 miles per hour, then I'm going to cut
Then you
off
calculate
10
on the
minutes
other
or
side.
whatever.
And then in the end, your brain is just able to not do the direct translations, but the indirect translations as well. You just keep doing more of those and you see more of the chessboard. I just jumped my metaphors
So you
like six
can-
times
yeah,
in
but
that one explanation.
But so we can, it's teachable.
Absolutely developable if you just practice and rehearse it.
We'll be holding a course next Saturday morning from
On
10 to
developing
12. It'll be
sixth sense.
$39.99 to come. We'll also be reading poems. Let me read your poem real quick. Yep, you're going to lose your hair. It's saying it.
Holy shit.
It's saying you're going to
Dude.
lose your hair.
How did you know?
Poof.
How did you know?